Nurture and support. Nurture and support. This is a podcast theme song. And it's really short.
Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast sharing all the awesome since 2013. I'm Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter. And with me, as always, advancing the Amazon Prime Directive is Mel.
You will all be assimilated. This is Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter. And we're back for another week of awesome recommendations. And I can't wait to see what Kelly has to tell us today. He told me it was going to be fun.
It is. I believe it is. And so I really wanted to go, I recommend Amazon Prime. Everyone should sign up, but I'm not going to do that. So we try as much as possible when we make app recommendations to, when there's a chance for us to recommend an app that works on both the Android and Apple platforms, to make sure that it works on both platforms, just so that regardless of what device you use, you got a chance to do it. But every once in a while,
Fire Phone?
Yeah, I think we're pretty safe. Fire Phone and Blackberries, I think we're not going to.
We're dropping them from the official support list.
That's right. I know we're going to take a hit because the legions of Fire Phone.
Yes.
Sounds like they've got like warehouses full of those things now or something.
I don't know. But yeah, not even was I tempted to get that. So.
Yeah, so that's a flag right there. And yeah, they read an interesting article on that to where they so pretty hefty price to begin with coming out of the gate, cheaper than if you're paying list for an iPhone or a higher end Android. But they're giving away for $1 now. So funny how these things happen. So yeah, also the Windows Phone platform, because we're not big Under the Dome fans, and I think the only people that have Windows phones are Under the Dome. Mm-hmm. We're not. I
don't want to be under that dome, so I am not getting a Windows Phone ever.
And I don't think our show, even given its broad reach, makes it inside the dome. I think the dome keeps Nurture and Support out. So that's okay. We go into that. So with all that preamble, my recommendation today only runs on one platform, but shocker, it runs on the dark side platform. It runs on the Apple platform. You can get it for your iPhone and your iPad, but you cannot on Android. And I wanted to draw particular attention to that because the name of this app is called Showoff. And no space between show and off, is Showoff. There is an Android app called Showoff. The Android app is somewhat of a photo sharing kind of show off your best photos and those types of things. And that might be interesting, but my recommendation is the iOS Showoff. And so one thing we all know, as I'm sure all of our loyal Nurture and Support listeners know, Mel is a gigantic sports fan. Loves sports. Just the more sports, the better. And her love of sports translates to, of course, love of the fantasy footballs and fantasy baseball, just whatever I can get. So let's pretend for a second that's a lie, and Mel's not a big sports fan. Wouldn't it be cool if Mel had a way to enjoy the excitement of fantasy sport engagement based on the television shows she watches? And that's really what Showoff is all about. So it's basically fantasy football for watching shows. And so what you can do is you go through and it lists a huge number of shows. So you set up an account. You can connect it to your Facebook. You can connect it to Twitter. You can just set up an ID and password if you want to. So you get into the app with your account, and then it's got the social component of connecting with friends. And we'll get back to that in a second. But then it basically, you go into the show section of Showoff, and so, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Americans Top Model, Boardwalk Empire, Walking Dead, Chicago Fire, Constantine, Doctor Who, Family Guy, anything you can imagine, basically, that you might watch is in here. And what you can then go do is select that show, and you get to make predictions. And the harder the prediction, the more points you can get. And within it, there are season and episode predictions. So the season predictions are, they start at the beginning of the season, and you can, for like Walking Dead, who do you think is going to make it through the season? And when do you think they're going to be reunited? And when do you think they're going to be separated? And depending on the complexity of the question, you get differing levels of support. But even if you don't start it at the beginning of the season, they continue to add to the season category more and more questions as you go through on the season side. So you make those longer term predictions for what you think is going to happen. And you just pick them and you get points, and then it's going to notify you if your prediction comes true. On the episode side, what they basically do is throw up a set of questions after the most current episode finishes airing for the first time. They load up questions, make them available all the way up to the next episode to make predictions. So if on Walking Dead, if Rick and gang were at the edge of a cliff and someone was menacing them and about to push them off, then it might be for the next episode, who's going to get pushed off the cliff next week, how many people are going to get pushed off the cliff, etc. So that's some things there. And so you can just kind of do predictions. And it's kind of cool because, like I said, you've got the episode-to-episode capability plus the overall season. And basically any show you're watching, I'm not sure if Netflix things like House of Cards, I don't think House of Cards is currently in the mix on this, but things like Homeland, Law and Order SUV, Modern Family, everything else you can imagine is. So it's kind of a fun thing to do there, and so you can kind of keep track and score points. And so just the simple make the predictions and see how you do is one part of it. But then it gets into the social side of the components, and I'm not a big fan of people per se. I don't have a lot of friends, so I'm not really fully exploring the full nature of that side of it. But you can connect up. You can challenge. So I could challenge Mel on when Better Call Saul comes out. I could challenge Mel on Better Call Saul, and we could both be doing predictions there and see how well we do head to head. You can build your group of friends and kind of just see collectively who's scoring more points and doing all those types of things. They will on occasion have a sweepstakes or some other type of pricing, or depending on, I think, how many points you score on a particular show or something like that, you can get put in a drawing to win things. So there's a little bit of a potential sweepstakes deal. There's a chance to make predictions on shows, a chance to sync up with your friends and compete on a show you both care about, or just kind of see how you're doing relative to everybody. It's a pretty clean app. I do like the option that it's not one of these things that requires you to utilize Facebook as your connecting mechanism.
Yay!
Which I know is always a big one for Mel.
Yes.
Twitter's kind of nice because then I can start to go through on the friend side, and if I want to start pinging some folks, I could on that. So Mel and Better Call Saul. Man, easy for me to say. When that comes on, you might get an invite from me to try it out.
Well, I'm looking for it right now. It's Showoff, all one word or two words?
One word. Showoff.
Okay, maybe that's why.
Yeah, it was. There
we go.
It was a little tricky to. Yeah, it's got that fantasy football same kind of idea where you're kind of, in fantasy football, kind of week to week, you're going in and you're making adjustments or you're trying different things, and that's the episode side, and there's still that longer season side too, and you're competing for points and doing all those types of things. There does not appear to be at this point in time a live viewing component to it. That may come down the road, but right now it's a little bit more between episodes, and for the season you do it. So it's a fun little app. It's a really attractive app. Interface, I think, could be just a tad better in terms of, when you start to say, well, I want to start doing this show. It's not really clear how you do it, but basically you just go on the show and you start making predictions. And once you start completing predictions on a show, it adds it to your list of shows that you're, it's not like you follow a show and start to do it. You just go in, and if you pick a show and you start to make predictions, it's going to get added to your list of shows. And you don't have, you could download it today. We're already, into the Walking Dead, the new Walking Dead season. You can go ahead and still do the remaining season predictions for that. They'll still have episode-to-episode stuff, and you can do it. So I think it's kind of a fun little deal. I'd love to have it available on Android. Maybe one day it will be, but until then, I've got a way that I can still enjoy it. And that would be my recommendation for this week.
Cool. And I know this will shock everyone, but I've never, ever played fantasy football.
No!
You're shocked, I know.
I know, it's
I
a
know.
shocker.
Absolutely.
But this gives you kind of that some similar experiences to that, but maybe in a topic matter you have a little more interest in.
Right. This is more in my wheelhouse, however. I'm wondering, well, I guess if it is doing it episode to episode, you are going to get spoilers if you're looking at it before you've seen the most recent episode. So you'd have to watch it first. And I sometimes, well, not sometimes, I a lot of times lately get more than a week behind. So I'm current on The Walking Dead, though, so that's good. Have you looked to see if Z Nation was up there?
I'm checking right now. Better Call Saul's out there, by the way.
Oh,
So we could early prep on that. I'll do a search, and before the end of our episode, I will let you know if Z Nation's out there, because it is alphabetical. So I just keep scanning. Under the Dome is there.
oh.
I do not see Z Nation right now, but we'll keep playing with it.
Okay, well, while Kelly's playing with his app, I will tell y'all about a game I have been playing lately. It is called Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. And this is like several of the games that I have recommended in the past, in that it's a simulation strategy type game. And it's a good game. I like it. It is the continuation of the Civilization franchise, which the last one was Civ 5. What the entire series is about is basically building up a civilization to essentially conquer the world. You can do that in multiple ways. It doesn't have to be with the military. So this game starts where basically the world it gives you this nice little cinematic at the beginning. It's very touching. The world basically has collapsed. There are several new nations that have formed, and they have all gotten together and are sending people to space to colonize another world. And this will be the continuation and probably the last bastion of humanity, because we probably have killed Earth. And they're going off to settle an alien planet. So when the game starts, you get to go through all of those wonderful options of picking the civ that you want to play, or in here they call it what sponsor you want to play. And there are several different options. There's an American option that is basically run like a corporation. There's a Australian option, a Chinese kind of option. There's several different factions that you can start with. So each little faction gets its own particular perks. So you just go through and kind of, pick one that you want to try to play with. And it asks you all of these little questions. There's a few decisions that you make before you get started. You don't really have to have any experience in this series to play this game. It works very similarly to Civ 5. Now, I was not the biggest fan of Civ 5, but this is a space. This is a spacefaring nation on an alien planet, and so I had to get this one. I was really, really hoping, like a lot of other people were, that this would be the continuation of one of my previous recommendations, which was Sid Meier's Sid Meier's Alpha Centauri, which was followed by Alien Crossfires and add-on. We were all really, really hoping that this was going to be Alpha Centauri 2. Sadly, it's not. I really, really wish that it was. But it's a good game in and of itself. If you like these kind of strategy type games, which when I talk about that, for people my age who may have grown up playing Risk, the board game, where you play as a particular nation and you have to have a strategy to wipe all the other players off the board. This is essentially what these types of games are. They're basically about surviving long enough and conquering the world, whether that's through diplomacy, military, or in the previous Civ games, you could by building the ship that would launch into space. That was one of the options to win. In this game, you've got several options very similar to that. But trade is a very big issue in these types of games. There are a couple of little independent colonies that you can trade with, or you can trade with the other actual player type sponsors that you could have chosen to play as. And it gets very complicated. I've always kind of said I thought that they need to make kids in school play these types of games. It'll give them a better understanding than a textbook will of kind of how the interactions work between different nations, because you get to see it hands-on of, if you've got a neighbor that is really powerful and has a whole lot of military and is technologically more advanced than you, and they come knocking on your door and they want some resource you have, like in this game there's a resource called floatstone. If they come wanting you to give them some floatstone, and they'll owe you one, you really have to question whether you want to do that or you want to risk making them mad at you, which, enough times that you refuse them might make the AI decide, you know what, I think they're just going to wipe you off the map, and they're technologically more advanced than you, so they will have a very good shot of doing that. There's all those kind of decisions. You see the importance of trade. You cannot play this game without utilizing the trade system. You won't make it. So I have about 12 hours, I think, of playtime into this game so far. And you don't want to, if you can't put some time into playing a single game, then these aren't the types of games for you, because actually I've put that 12 hours into one game. And that is depending on your play style. It can take a very long time to play through these games. I'm a pacifist usually in all of these games. I don't usually ever resort to the military option, but sometimes you don't have a choice because a neighbor is encroaching upon you and they attack you because they want your space and you have to defend yourself. I almost always go for the diplomacy option or the transcendence option, because I want to be transcendental. I want to be a better person than I am. So I try to live that out in these games, and sometimes it works. In this game so far, it is not working. I am going to lose this game. I did start a second game to try a different faction out, and I'm doing better in that one, I'm happy to report. So I'll let y'all know if I get my ass kicked in that game as well. But for those of you who took my previous recommendation to heart and played Alpha Centauri, this one doesn't quite have the fun factor that Alpha Centauri had. They've done a good job of trying to give some of the faction leaders, or the sponsors, I keep using the old terminology, they've done a good job of trying to give them some personality when you're having interactions with them, but it's not on the level of still that I think that Alpha Centauri was. If any of you listen to the end of most of our episodes and you notice a few little sound bites put in, those are almost always from Alpha Centauri. That is one of my favorite games ever. I still play it, and it's been out for a very, very, very long time. And it just had some of the best little sound files in the entire thing, and there's hordes of them that I haven't thrown at any of you yet, so you have those to look forward to. The one thing that's really good about the Civ games in this game, and it just came out. It's only been out for a week. By the time this goes up, it'll have been out for a couple of weeks, so there will be more mods available, but there's a very active mod community that goes in and makes all sorts of different kind of mods for these games, whether it's making a new sponsor, a new Civ for you to play, or tweaking some of the characters, the military units that you can have. I've seen that some of them have gone in and changed the trade system a little bit and made it less powerful than it is, because personally I find the trade system to be really annoying, but you can't play this game without utilizing it. So we have that to look forward to. I've even seen that there are already a couple of different factions up that have been modded over from Alpha Centauri, so I'm really happy about that. But no one has brought over the Gaians yet, and I always played as the Gaians, so I need somebody to make the mod to give me the Gaians back so I can play as Lady Deidre Sky, because I really need to. But
Yeah, this strikes me, and I think we've touched on it before. Is that there's an approach that I take to games like this that is a little less well thought out than Mel's approach, and it's pretty much time to invade. Just go. Just,
those are, however, some of the most fun games to participate in. I just watched a live stream on Twitch that had 3 guys up there playing this game. And the fun thing about it was that they weren't really playing against each other yet. I came in like 3 hours into the game, and I watched probably an hour of it before I had to leave. But it's really dependent upon, I mean, you can start a game and get just screwed from the beginning of where the AI starts your civilization out. And all of that is controlled by the AI. There are some tweaks on particular, when you're setting up the game, you can pick a particular option to give you a little more leniency in where you land your first colony, but you have no control over where the AI puts the other colonies. So these guys are playing, there's 3 guys playing as different factions in here, and so the AI is controlling all the rest, and 2 of them just got totally screwed. The 3rd guy, he's on a little landmass all by himself. He has nobody else over there to contend with, so he's just building up all these big, huge cities, and these other 2 guys are surrounded by factions that have more resources, have more land, have, of course, much better militaries, and are just killing them. One of them was getting, he had 2 different factions had declared war on him, and he was just getting demolished. And that doesn't sound like that's very fun, but for a viewer watching them, listening to their reactions to all of this, I was highly entertained by it. I was really surprised. I have not done really any multiplayer in the Civ games with an actual person. I've always played the AI. So if any of you get the game, I think we need to get on Twitch and play Civ 5. And then you get to hear how, oh crap, all the bad words that Melissa can say when some faction next to her starts pumping out tac jets on her, and she hasn't gotten that capability yet. And so all of her little aliens, because I always have to do the Harmony one where I get to have all of the little alien units, and they're dropping tac jets all over me. It's not cool, man. It's not cool. I'm trying to live here in peace and be in harmony with this new planet that we have invaded, and they try to kill me. It's not fun. But for all of that, I have a lot of hopes for this game. I enjoyed it, whereas I did not enjoy Civ 5 as much. So I really didn't play a lot of Civ 5, and I think, in fact, I didn't even get the expansion for Civ 5. But so far, I like the world that they've built, and they've kind of left it open where I think they're really going to have a lot of room to expand with a bunch of add-ons, because historically they do a lot of add-ons for the Civ games. So I expect in a couple months there'll be a lot of add-ons, but the mod community on this one already, the game came out on Thursday or Friday, so it's been out for 4 or 5 days now, and there's already a bunch of mods that are up in the workshop on Steam. This is a PC game, by the way. I should have mentioned that. So there are a lot of modders that are already out there working hard at adding cool things. There are several of them where I don't know if you ever played Portal 2, Kelly.
I haven't personally played, but I've observed individuals playing Portal.
Okay, there is a robot character in there called Wheatley, and one of the mods that's up is gives all of your worker units Wheatley's voice. So when you click on them, they throw out some phrase that Wheatley would say in Portal 2, which is just oddly. It's little amusements. So the mod community is full of little things like that. So like I said, I'm waiting for somebody to give me the guidance, and I will be the happiest camper ever if I can play Lady Deidre Sky in Civ Beyond Earth. So I think it's a fun game. If you are into sim strategy type games, I think you'll like it. They have changed the tech tree from what it has been in the past. It's now this, I find it rather confusing tech web, and it doesn't give you nearly as easy an idea of seeing how you're progressing. Now you can just willy-nilly pick all over there and be researching a technology that may not have anything directly useful for you right now, but they have an advisor system that's built into the game that tries to help you with things like this, and they'll try to tell you, maybe you should research this over here. Your military advisors might maybe going, maybe you should come over here and click on this one, because you might need that soon. And then sometimes you have to wonder, what does he know? He knows something. So it is an enjoyable game. I have a lot of hopes for it, and there's a lot of room open to do some really good expansions onto this game, and I'm looking forward to what the other modders are going to do. But it's worth it, especially if you remember this recommendation and you go and get it when it goes on sale at some point. So Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. It's a PC game, and I'm enjoying it, and I hope you do too. And that's all I have.
Very cool. So I'm assuming, and we touched on this a little bit before. I don't sink the time into doing that type of gaming as much as I used to back in the day. I love the games that give you the mod capabilities and where you are the level builders or those types of things. So I'm assuming the basic construct. If you're already the other games you had recommended earlier,
Right.
whatever the technique was to mod that is the same technique to mod this. And so is that one of the reasons
Yeah.
they got it out so quick?
I'm sure. And they've probably, I haven't really been paying much attention to what's been going on pre-release. They probably released the Steam Workshop, the things to do all of this with a long time ago. It's still the same. This is basically Civ 5 with some very minor adjustments made to it. So if they could mod Civ 5, then they're not going to have any problems modding this one. They just needed the textures and the little bits and pieces from the
Yeah.
game. So once they got the game, they were good to go.
Excellent. Very cool. All righty. So we'll go ahead and move into social media recommendations for the week. So my recommendation this week is Josh McDermott. And Josh plays Eugene currently. Josh has been in a lot of things, but one of his current roles right now is he plays Eugene Porter, Dr. Eugene Porter, on Walking Dead. And his Twitter handle is his name, Josh McDermott, OSHMCDERMITT. Josh's Twitter bio reads, Eugene on The Walking Dead, respect the mullet. And he has truly embraced Eugene, and so he's a nice and interesting guy to follow. Period. And there's a lot of Eugene love and a lot of Eugene hate out there, and he's really good about sharing different things. So like someone had drawn kind of almost like a grade school kid, Abraham, Rosita, and Eugene, and so there was a moldy looking kind of stick figure for Eugene, and the others, Abraham with the little kind of red flat top, all that good stuff.
Right.
And Eugene was like, quick, grab my magic mullet. And they grab, they show each grabbing a side of his head, and he flies them away to Washington, D.C. And so just all kinds of cute things like that. So he's a fun guy and an interesting guy to follow, and he is a regular source of when there is clever Eugene Porter art out there that someone sends his way. He's very good about retweeting, commenting on it, and sharing it back with the fans. So my recommendation is to follow Josh McDermott, Twitter verified, Dr. Eugene Porter, respect the mullet.
All right. Well, I guess I will do that, though I can't stand his mullet. Uh, there are so many people on The Walking Dead with really tragic hair.
It has gone downhill. The zombie apocalypse has not been friendly for hairstyles. There's not really, although Beth has seemed to always maintain a wonderful. We haven't seen her in a while, but she's always seems to
Yeah.
have the nice flowing blonde locks going okay. But yeah, a lot of other not so good hair things going on.
Yes. Yes. Eugene and Daryl, I'm saying it now, really, really, really need to cut their hair. And I'm very disappointed so far that Carol has not handled that situation. Really. I mean, I trusted Carol to do this. The woman kills sick people. She can cut some people's hair.
She's a problem solver.
That's
This is
right.
definitely a problem.
This is a problem. It's definitely a problem for me. So I will follow him even though he rocks the mullet. Ugh. So my social media recommendation this week, it is a little bit different than what I've been doing. It is not actually, she has a Twitter account, but I found her on YouTube. And her YouTube handle is nerd and then the letter E crafter. And how I came across her was I think I've mentioned in the past that I mess around with polymer clay. I'm a crafty little person. When I'm not knitting, I mess around with polymer clay and make little glow in the dark skulls. She, however, has a tutorial up on YouTube about making a little dancing baby Groot. And of course, dancing baby Groot is the cutest thing in the world. He does not actually dance, but he is posed like he was in the movie, in his little dancing pose. And he's in a cute little flower pot. But she does a pretty good job. You don't have to have any experience with polymer clay to be able to do this little baby Groot that she has made, and she does a pretty good job of explaining to you how to do it. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was adorable, and she did a good job with it. And she's got quite a few, as her handle would suggest, nerdy related polymer clay projects in her YouTube channel. And I think she's got a few that may not be polymer clay, but mostly they seem to be polymer clay. And I think she did a good job and I liked it. So I am recommending everybody go check her out, especially if you have any inclination to make a little baby Groot out of polymer clay. So Nerd E Crafter on YouTube. She has a Twitter account which is at Nerd E Crafter on Twitter. So you can follow her both places. She links on Twitter to her YouTube videos, so you can find them there too. If Twitter is where you get all of your information.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm interested. So can you recall kind of off the top of your head some of the other, so the baby Groot thing would be cool,
Um,
obviously, clearly, but any other ones jump to mind?
she's got that new. I'm not well versed in what's going on in it, but there's a new Disney movie, I believe, that's called Big Hero, I
Yes.
believe.
Yeah.
And there's a big marshmallow looking guy that's the blow up. I've seen a preview, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure what all the characters' names are, but he's like a little robot, but he's made out of balloons. You know, he's kind of a big balloon thing that the kid made.
Yep.
And she's made one of those. I think is her most recent one I remembered seeing. She made a little koi pond out of polymer clay, which I think she must have used some sort of resin to make the water. She's made some Hunger Games stuff. Let's see. It looks like she's got a Game of Thrones Hand of the King pin. And I haven't watched this one, but I'll need to. She's got a little mini jellyfish tank aquarium made out of polymer clay. So I'll have to see how she made that water effect in there. It's probably with some sort of resin, but the jellyfish are probably made out of polymer clay. So she's got quite a few cute things on there, and Kelly is a crafty guy. On Kelly's other show on Snarkalic Radio, he decorates the Piranaconda egg every week for y'all.
Yes, I do. Some weeks are a little harder than others for that. I'll have to consider some polymer clay options for the egg. That could be interesting.
Polymer clay is an interesting substance. You can bake it in your oven at home. There are some little tips and tricks to it, but I've been playing around with some air dry clay as well that doesn't have to be baked and is not. Polymer clay is not really toxic, but the air dry clays make a big deal about being non-toxic. So there's all sorts of different options out there, but polymer clay is a cool substance to play around with. You can make lots of cool things out of it, like glow-in-the-dark skulls.
Can never have enough of those.
Nope, I can't. So.
Maybe that's the future of lighting. Thousands upon thousands of glow-in-the-dark skulls.
Yeah, well, I've also read accounts of people making them sick by collecting all of the glow-in-the-dark, and I wonder when it's going to happen to me because I have a problem with glow-in-the-dark. I got lots of little glow-in-the-dark t-shirts and a lot of glow-in-the-dark polymer clay. So if I ever come down with some debilitating disease, they might need to check my glow-in-the-dark collection and see how much radiation it's putting out.
I think on that happy note, we're gonna so probably Mel will be back next week. I hope, depending on how the glow in the dark stuff goes. And we'll hand it over to our good friend Matt, who will give you all the particulars and how you can contact us. We'd love to hear from you. We'd really appreciate it if you get a chance on iTunes to write a review. That would be awesome. If not, just visit with us on the blog. Drop us a comment here and there. We'd love to hear from folks. If you've got recommendations, be sure and send it in. It's probably time Mel and I make sure we crack back into that Gmail account and make sure that we're tending to that so that if you have sent us a recommendation you haven't heard it yet, we'll get on it. We'll see on that. But
yes.
Twitter's good. The blog's good. iTunes reviews, awesome. So.
Yep.
So we'll hand it over to Matt. I'd like to thank everybody for listening to the episode.
Thanks, everybody.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com. Or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter.
Datapod recovered. Nurturing and support.